Yeah. Bucky here. Today I'm wearing a cute Okinawan school uniform and carrying a massive heavy sword that I can barely lift. Oh, and a cello case. Don't ask what's inside. Let's hand it over to the host for episode 14 of Anime Bucket Quest. Let's go!
Ready? Let's go!
Yeah!
Let the next big quest flow. Grab my bucket, hold on tight for a show that's super bright. Is it action? Is it feels? Let's find out what's for real. It's the Anime Bucket Quest. Yeah! The Anime Bucket Quest!
Welcome back, Questers, to another episode of Anime Bucket Quest. I'm your host, Stefan Shies. Today, we are leaving the typical high school settings behind, packing our bags for a globe-trotting, blood-soaked tragedy. If you thought vampires were just about capes or sparkling in the sunlight, think again. Today, we are reviewing the 2005 gothic action epic, Blood Plus. So, to start off with Blood Plus, you're probably thinking, that's something I never heard before. What is it? I mean, there's been a movie that was similar to Blood the Last Vampire, but this one is more original. So, what means by original, meaning it's something that, was created, for the sake of it. So, sometimes when you get animes, they're just like, sometimes they're, based on original sources. But what makes Blood Plus different is it's actually something that was originally created original. So basically what Blood Plus is, it was produced by the Powerhouse Studio production IG. Blood Plus, or pronounced, Blood Plus, Plus, is a massive 50 episode saga. It starts in Okinawa with Saya Otonashi, a high school girl who lives a peaceful life but has no memories of her past beyond the last year. Her life shatters when she is attacked by a Chiropteran, also known as a monstrous blood-drinking bat creature. She is saved by a mysterious brooding man named Haji, who plays the cello and fights with deadly grace. Haji forces Saya to drink his blood, awakening her true identity. Saya is not human. She's the only remaining Chiropteran queen who can kill these monsters using her own crystallized blood. What follows is a tragic international war against her own twin sister Diva, spanning decades and continents. What I talk about what comes to the experience of this show, this anime, is Blood Plus feels completely different from modern anime. It is a slow burn thriller that feels more like an HBO miniseries than a traditional shonen. On a global scale, the story literally travels the globe. We go from the sunny beaches of Okinawa to the jungles of Vietnam, the frozen landscapes of Russia, the streets of Paris, and finally to New York City. The backgrounds and settings change with the story, giving it a massive cinematic scale. And the vibe, it's deeply melancholy. This isn't a show where the heroes win easily and go eat ramen. Every victory comes at a massive bloody cost. It's a story about the burden of immortality, the horrors of war, and the weight of family. The pacing is deliberate, demanding your patience as it sets up its intricate political chessboard. So basically the story, because animes back in the day wasn't just like today's anime where you had 13 episodes or 26 episodes. Animes usually ran from typically 50 episodes to sometimes 60 or even 70. So that's why having a lot of episodes, especially with something like this that's like basically original, makes it really interesting. Because what original means you can keep adding on to the plot versus something that's adapted from a light novel or a manga where you have to follow or sometimes interpret the original source. Now let's talk about the opening and the ending. Is the music a banger, or do you guys want to go ahead and skip the intro, go right into the anime? This is a brand new segment I decided to introduce. Do the openings and endings of Blood Plus make the daily playlist, or, like I said, do we hit the skip button? My verdict? These songs are unskippable masterpieces. Blood Plus has one of the greatest collections of music in anime history. First off, the cinematic score was composed by Mark Messina and produced by Hollywood legend Hans Zimmer. Yes, the Hans Zimmer, who you probably heard his compositions in many Hollywood films over the years. Both the opening and the ending tracks are absolutely incredible. Let's talk about the openings. Opening 1, Aozora no Namida by Hitomi Takahashi is a fantastic 2000s rock anthem. But to me, opening 3, Colors of the Heart by Overworld, is an absolute undeniable banger. It perfectly captures the mid-season intensity. Then you got the endings. The ending themes are where the tears start flowing. Ending 1, Katara Risugu Koto by Chitose Hajime is a hauntingly beautiful traditional sounding ballad. And ending 3, This Love by Angela Aki is an emotional piano masterpiece. These tracks don't just stay in the playlist, they define an era of anime music. Zero skips allowed. Now let's talk about the breakout character of the series. To me, the undisputed MVP of the series is Haji. He is Saya's chevalier, her blood-bound knight and eternal protector. Why we love him? Haji is the blueprint for the loyal, brooding, tall, dark, and handsome anime bodyguard. He is a man of incredibly few words, choosing instead to communicate through his beautiful cello playing. His absolute, unquestioning devotion to Saya, even when she hates herself or is terrified of her powers, is the emotional anchor of the entire 50-episode run. Plus, he uses his cello case as a blunt weapon to smash monsters, which is frankly one of the coolest visual flexes in anime history. For our creator spotlight, we had to look at director Junichi Fujisaki and production IG. Blood Plus is actually part of a larger franchise. It originated from a 2000 theatrical short film called Blood the Last Vampire, created by the legendary Mamoru Oshii, who was the director of Ghost in the Shell. How it evolved from that short film to a 50-episode series? Oshii's original film was 45 minutes of gritty, dialogue-light action featuring a cold-blooded Saya in 1960s Japan. Fujisaki looked at that short film and asked, how do we turn this into a 50-episode human drama? He took the core concept and injected it with a deep lore, political conspiracy, and an intense romantic tragedy. Fujisaku's ability to weave historical events into a vampire narrative is brilliant. Like I said, going back about the source material, and I kept mentioning original a lot earlier, because Blood Plus is an original anime. So, our source material showdown segment's a bit different. There is a manga adaptation that ran alongside the anime, but to me, the anime is the main event. If we compare it to its spiritual predecessor, the 2000 film Blood the Last Vampire movie, Blood Plus is a completely different beast. The movie is a mood piece. It's all atmosphere and extreme violence. Blood Plus sacrifices some of that non-stop action for deep character development. Some purists prefer the gritty, unfeeling Saya of the 2000 movie, but for fans who want emotional investment and world building, Blood Plus is the definitive version of the franchise. Now for the great debate. Dub versus sub. I'm going to give it a very enthusiastic point to the English dub. And here are my points for it. The performance. The dub features a legendary cast. You got Kari Walgren, who voices Saya and perfectly captures her transition from a terrified schoolgirl to a battle-hardened, exhausted warrior. Then also the voice of Haji. The real show stealer is Crispin Freeman as Haji. His deep, velvet baritone voice fits the brooding, gothic nature of the character flawlessly. The villains are also cast beautifully, making the political banter and theatrical monologues a joy to listen to in English. Because what makes it work is because, like I said, they go to different countries. And what I like about whoever directed the dub for Production IG, they did a real job to give like some of the characters accents, especially those that live in England or they live in Europe. So you get to hear a little bit like that European accents of some of the characters, just to make them like diverse and different from the main cast. Now for the bad news. Blood Plus is currently stuck in what anime fans call streaming jail. Due to complex licensing issues, likely tied to the Hollywood-produced soundtrack and international rights, it is incredibly difficult to find it on the major platforms like Crunchyroll or Hulu. To watch this legally, you often have to hunt down the expensive out-of-print DVD box sets or keep an eye out for rare digital researches on retro anime streaming sites. Lucky I was able to find a retro anime streaming site that I was able to see it in both of dub and sub, so you can be able to check it out on there. It is a hidden treasure that you have to actively quest for. So, is Blood Plus worthy of the anime bucket list? If you have the patience for a slow burn story and love gothic romance, political thrillers, and tragic heroes, this is an absolute yes. It is a beautiful, melancholic epic that takes its time building a world you would genuinely care about. Just be prepared to cry, and good luck tracking it down. That's it for episode 14 of Anime Bucket Quest. I've been your host, Otonashi, and with Baki packing up her cello case, we are signing off. Make sure to follow the pod on YouTube, Spotify, Audible, and where you get your podcasts. You can follow me on Instagram at Otonashi. Keep your sword sharp, and I'll see you on the next adventure. As always, geek on and take care.